Hi everybody, my name is Jamal from Jay's Internet Solutions. Welcome to this episode of Jay's TV. Today we are going to talk about the value of Twitter, right? Now, many people that I meet don't understand what Twitter is and they don't know why they should use it, right? And on Twitter, people are talking about all sorts of things, and one thing that sort of new users of Twitter or people that don't use Twitter at all, the one thing they always ask me is, why do I want to know when someone else is drinking coffee, right? And it's very funny, a lot of people have this exact same question, right? Because on Twitter, people are saying, I'm having coffee now, or I'm going to bed now, or I just arrived at the office now, and they're having all of these sort of conversations about things that seem to be unimportant, right? So you have a bit of that kind of talk, and then you have a lot of business talk. People are saying, I'm in a meeting with this client, or I've started a new project on this, or I'm traveling to this city or to this country, and people are talking about business things, what they are doing, and what's the value in this, right? The value is that relationships are built on these type of conversations, right? So think of a business meeting, right? You arrive at the business meeting, and you might, before the meeting starts, you might tell the person next to you that your car wouldn't start this morning, or you had trouble sleeping last night, whatever it is. And this is chit chat. This little talk influences your relationship, and it enhances your relationship. It builds the relationship. So when you have sort of common interests with people that are outside of business, that builds rapport, right? So we all know what rapport is, and when you have rapport with someone, you have an inclination to do business with them. You want to know how they are, you want to speak to them. So I'll give you an example. A few nights ago, I switched on the television, and it was about 4 a.m. and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, that movie was on. Now that movie is, I think, probably from the 80s, but it's one of my favorite movies, right? And when I watched that, when I saw it was on, guess what happened? What was the first thought that came to my mind? The first thought was to send a message to Melissa Attree from Joburg. Now, Melissa, I know from Twitter. I've never met her in real life, but we speak often on Twitter. And many months ago, we sort of came across that each of us liked Ferris Bueller's Day Off, that movie. And I sent her the message at 4 a.m. and she replied to say that luckily she doesn't have to wake up at 4 a.m. because she has the DVD. Now, Melissa is in my industry, and she does similar work to what I do, but we have sort of a common interest in a personal capacity. Now, that's powerful. That's what builds relationships, right? So those sort of things, those things that seem unimportant that people are talking about on Twitter are very powerful, because those are the things that build relationships, right? And as we said in a previous episode, that marketing has changed, okay? The power of marketing is now in word of mouth, right? And word of mouth is on steroids, as Gary Vaynerchuk says. So people are talking about brands, people are talking about business, and marketing is about talking at the moment, right? So it's also called relationship marketing. It's also called conversational marketing. So these are all the same different terms, which basically mean the same thing, right? So we also mentioned that Chris Brogan said something which is very powerful, and I think that everyone should continuously think about this. He said that listening is the new marketing, right? So when you listen to people, right, and know what their needs are, you can fulfill those needs with your business idea, with your sort of business products and services. So business is all about conversation at the moment, and also marketing is primarily about listening. Now, the nice thing about Twitter is that you can search what people are saying at any given time on any given topic, right? So Twitter didn't have this at first. The history of Twitter is quite interesting, because it didn't start as most people would think, but there won't be time to get into that. But Twitter didn't have a search facility initially, right? So there was a company called Surmise, right? And they built a search engine for Twitter, right? So they linked up through Twitter's API, and you had to go to surmise.com in order to search anything that was said on Twitter, right? Because Twitter didn't have that facility. And it became so successful and so sort of crucial for Twitter searching that Twitter, the company, actually bought Surmise, right? And now if you go to search.twitter.com, you will be able to search anything on Twitter, and that's actually the back end of Surmise, which Twitter had bought. So you can search any keyword. If you search the word coffee, for example, you'll find out everything that people are talking about coffee. If you search social media, you'll find what people are talking about social media. And you can join in the conversation, right? You can start talking about these topics with people that you've picked up on Twitter. And you can also increase your knowledge continuously and build relationships continuously and start to talk about things, build your personal brand, right? And I would advise people, don't try to sell on Twitter, right? Don't be the guy that or the lady that goes on Twitter every day and says, I have this product to sell and said that cost and at this link, right? Don't do that, because people don't want to be sold to, right? People want to build relationships, and then they'll be open to being sold to, right? Direct selling and pushing products onto people don't like that anymore, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't leave a good taste. So please don't try to do that on Twitter. I would prefer or recommend that you build relationships with people, right? Talk to them and let them know what you're about, but don't try to direct sell. And when they know what you're about, they will contact you and ask you, what products you sell, or they'll go to your website and they'll go and click and see what products you have, and they'll sort of buy from you if they're interested. That's what works on the internet right now, right? So I'm very fortunate and very grateful for this, that most of my business, in fact, 90% on average of my business comes through word of mouth, right? So people contact me on Twitter, on Facebook, and they say that they want to do business with me because they see what I'm about, because I'm online all the time and I'm talking about things. I'm adding value to my community. I'm sharing links with them, and this is powerful, right? And I would suggest, and obviously we do a bit of marketing. I personally don't advertise, but I will talk about that in another episode. But I'm not against advertising. So if you feel you do need to advertise in your business, that's quite fine. But relationship building and social media marketing is much, much more powerful in the age of social media that we are currently in. Right. Twitter is powerful, so I do suggest you go and sign up for an account on Twitter. Link up with me. My Twitter handle is Jamal_Jays. And talk to me. And if you don't know how to use Twitter, if you want to help, you need help getting started, I am there all the time, so I'll be happy to help you. And there are millions of other people that will help you as well. It's a very friendly community, and I suggest you use it. And tomorrow we are going to talk about LinkedIn, which is also very interesting, and also too many people don't understand what LinkedIn is all about. So please stay tuned for tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you find value in it. And until we meet again, crush it.